budget insurance. Affordable because you can't afford not to.
Hello and welcome to another Cars.co.za car review. And before we get started, let me remind you that Cars.co.za has the largest selection of used cars in South Africa on our site right now. Head over to Cars.co.za, which is the address, unsurprisingly, and find your next car. Finger pistol. Right, and on to this review, which, if you've read the YouTube title, you will know is about the Mazda CX-30. Brand new Mazda in South Africa, launched in February 2021. Brand new in showroom floors. And you might be asking yourself, what is it? What is this Mazda CX-30? What's it all about? Well, I can summarize it for you, actually, in one sentence. If you like the Mazda 3, but you want a higher ride height and higher seating position, then buy a CX-30. There we go. Done. We're good here. You can go on with your day. Off you go. Have fun. Go do some work, or I don't know, go to the gym, go to the pub, whatever you want, really. If you want to know more, stick around. Here we go. So right off the bat, the CX-30 is pretty confusing, not gonna lie, and it's because of its pricing. So it's quite a bit smaller than the CX-5, Mazda's sort of mid-size SUV, but the cheapest CX-30 is more expensive than the cheapest CX-5. So you can buy a larger car for less money, which is, pretty confusing. So let's try work out why that is. So Mazda is only bringing one model of the CX-30 to South Africa, basically meaning one engine, one drivetrain, you get an auto box, but they are offering it in three derivatives, so three sort of trim levels, starting with this, the bottom of the range Active, which will set you back 469,000 Rand, which feels like quite a lot of money for this car, but okay, let's try to be objective. Right, so what do you get in here? Cruise control, air conditioning, but not automatic. Nice big 8.8-inch color touchscreen infotainment system. But what I think is quite impressive with the CX-30 is the standard level of safety features. So electronic stability control, which is missing in some of this car's rivals, and I think that is a fantastic technology. In fact, you actually can't sell a car in Europe without it. That's how important European regulators think that technology is. And you get 7 airbags all over the place. There's just freaking airbags everywhere in here, including curtain airbags, which you usually find on much more expensive cars, and those are really important in terms of side impact protection and rollover protection. So I really like that. I feel very safe in here, and that's a good thing. Overall, it feels like a very solid, very well-made car, but to be honest, all Mazdas feel like that to me in my experience, and this one is no different. But if you want such niceties as, say, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, or if you want a reverse camera, then you actually have to go to the models above, which seems a little bit cheeky. I mean, you know, that urban cruiser we just drove from Toyota, the Suzuki Vitara Brezza, I mean, those cost half as much as this car costs, and those both have those technologies. They both have reverse cameras as standard. So I'm not sure why Mazda would have stripped out all that sort of nice stuff, you know, and not maybe just made this a fully loaded car at the entry-level price point, which I think would have made it more attractive. And I don't want to harp on about pricing, but I think I have to. So yeah, here we go. So as I mentioned earlier, the bottom of the range CX-30 costs more than the bottom of the range CX-5, and if you go to the top of the range CX-30, then you're all the way at 540,000 Rand, and that puts you right in the middle of CX-5 territory. You can get a nicely spec'd CX-5 for that price. And also, if you go on the second-hand market, well, then you can save money and get yourself a nicely spec'd CX-5. So I went on to Cars.co.za. We've got nearly 250 Mazda CX-5s listed on our site right now, and for around 400,000 Rand, you can get a really good 2 or 3 year old CX-5, and for around the same price as this, 469, well then you can get a really nice CX-5, not even 2 years old, with very, very low mileage. So that, you know, that sort of also puts this car in a very confusing position for me. And then there's the Mazda 3. So I really like the Mazda 3. I actually think it's one of the nicest hatchbacks that you can buy. It's got an interior which is comparable to some of the most luxurious German cars out there, for instance, that you would pay 2-3 times as much for. I really like that Mazda 3. And you can get into a bottom spec Mazda 3, which will have roughly the same trim level as this, for about 90,000 Rand less than this Mazda CX-30. So you're paying over 90,000 Rand to have a slightly higher ride position. But then you might be saying to me, Ciro, this is an SUV and I want to buy it because it's going to be more practical. And unfortunately, you would be wrong, because this car and the Mazda 3 have exactly the same boot capacity at 295 liters. And interestingly, that's not a lot of boot capacity, because the Volkswagen Polo has a boot of 350 liters, at least on paper. So yeah, you're not really getting a practical car here, so to speak. Okay. Wow, CX-30, you're kind of making my job difficult here. I'm trying to help you out, but there's not much to go on. Okay, so what about fuel consumption, you might be saying? Well, Mazda claims that their engines are quite impressively fuel efficient. But my experience here, not really. We're averaging just over 10 liters to the 100, which these days for a 2-liter petrol engine is not amazing, especially in a car this size. I mean, I was getting similar consumption out of the Subaru Forester, the 2.5 liter, and that's obviously a much larger car. So yeah, doesn't really have fuel consumption going for it either. Woo! Okay, right, CX-30. Okay, this is what I quite like about it. It rides really well. It rides like a much more expensive car. Fantastically quiet, very little road noise, almost no wind noise, which sometimes SUVs do suffer from. It's the sort of car which you could happily drive every day around the city and happily drive long distance. I think you'd be very comfortable. I also think the interior is of a great quality. I really like how Mazda focuses on soft touches everywhere. Nice stitched leather up on the dashboard. Nice stitched leather steering wheel. It feels good in here. It feels like you've bought quite a premium car. So if you strip away the pricing issues with this car, I have no problem with it as a product. It's a really good product. It feels like a very well-made car. It feels like it's built to last, and that's quite nice. But you can't ignore the pricing. You just can't. And we're in a very price-sensitive market right now. We're in a recession. South Africans are being squeezed economically from all angles, and I imagine you're looking for good value in your purchase. And I'm not necessarily saying that you need to not test drive this car or not go into a Mazda showroom. I just think Mazda has better products for you at a much better price. Buy the larger CX-5 for the same price, or a very good used CX-5 for less money, or buy a Mazda 3 for much less money and just deal with the fact that you're sitting closer to the ground, which doesn't sound like the worst thing in the world, to be honest. What I've presented so far is an analysis of this car's pricing within the Mazda range. However, if you look at the wider car market, the CX-30's pricing starts to make a lot more sense. This is very much a style over substance crossover, a modern type of car which brands like VW and Toyota already offer in our market. In the case of the VW T-Roc, the pricing is slightly higher than the CX-30 across the T-Roc range, with the base T-Roc coming in at 489,000, 20,000 Rand more than the base CX-30. However, the Toyota CHR, which offers smaller turbocharged motors and in my view a less premium cabin than the CX-30, the pricing undercuts the CX-30 quite considerably. with the base CHR coming in at 394,000 Rand. That's a good 60,000 odd less than the CX-30. In light of this, the CX-30 actually seems well positioned in the local car market. However, just like its rivals, its appeal will remain niche, as most South Africans opt for practicality over fashion. So there we go. All right, check out the Cars.co.za app. It is the #1 rated auto app in South Africa. It's the best way to check out our used car selection and get new car specs and pricing. Alrighty, I'm done. Cheers. Thanks very much for watching. Be safe. Thanks very much for watching. If you've just watched this video but you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, you absolutely should do that immediately right now. Click the subscribe button. It's a good idea for a bunch of reasons which I actually don't have really a lot of time to go into, but it's good. It's a good idea. Excellent. Thanks for watching. I said that already.
Budget insurance. Affordable because you can't afford not to.